All right, so here's hello world. All right, Python 3 hello world.py. Okay, now what you see is I ran the program and I get a window. Isn't that sort of cool? Okay, so here's what's really going on here. Master is my sort of master object for the UI. Okay, and then we are running a function called main loop. Okay, all right, now let's think about what sort of things does this program need to be able to do? Okay, let's go think. Let's at the moment I'm not well. Just think back of what you're typically writing in 155, 156, right? What do you have in a regular C++ program? Main, right? You have main, right? And you put all your print functions in main, and it runs it from the top to the bottom. Okay. Programming GUIs is similar to program mobile devices in that it's called event-based programming. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding objects to this window, okay, and then telling it when somebody clicks this, do this. Okay, all right. So what's really going on here is in main loop that it's built into the library. What that's really doing is it's a little while loop that's waiting for anybody to do anything at that. Okay. So this is why in UIs we actually don't have a main really. Okay? All right? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up buttons in the environment and then attaching them to different functions. Okay? So when I click on a button, run this function please. Okay? All right? And then that function could change the UI, could do some calculations. Yeah. So still Python is still going to run this code from the top to the bottom, and then it's going to run main loop. So if you put any code after main loop, it's never going to get executed. Okay? Because main loop is an infinite while loop. Okay? So it's never going to exit there, which actually is exactly what we want. Okay? Coolness? Okay. All right. So let me close that window. Program exits. We're good to go. Okay. So let's create, oops, sorry about that. Box is equal to label master text. This is a box. Okay, and then we do box.grid. All right, so I'm going to create a new object called a label. All right, notice I'm passing in master. All right, so it knows what window I'm attaching it to. Yeah, and we'll see what this does. This is a box. Okay, now there's really two things that's going on here. This label is creating the label, and then we have to tell it how to position itself in the master window. Okay, so there's multiple schemes you could do to lay out your GUI windows. Okay, I think actually there's one by default, so you don't have, and grid is one of them. It's not the simplest one, but it's the one that I think is most useful. Let me just do box 2, label, master text is equal to more text here. Okay. Okay. So in this example, I've created 2 labels, but I didn't tell them where to go on the screen, and that's why they didn't show up. Right? So after every single time you say something, you have to say where it goes. And by the way, there's other options besides grid. I tend to like grid because then it breaks up your window into. Oh, I'm an idiot. That should say box 2, not box.
Does this work on AWS?
Should. Should.
Doesn't.
I'm using spiders.
Doesn't like the.
Oh, the import?
Yeah.
Yes. Capitalize the T and the K. Does that change anything?
No.
Capitalize just the T? That doesn't work, Google it.
That import statement should work. They probably just don't have it.
Crap. Worked last year. Let's just see. If I just do regular Python, does it like the import statement? Okay, all right. So in Python 2, it's not called tkinter. I think it's a capital T. All right, well, I'll continue going, and then we'll figure out how to get this to work in AWS, okay? Sorry. Okay, so columns and rows, think of the entire window as being a grid. The size of these boxes you could specify. At the moment, these boxes are going to be as wide as they need to be to fit that thing, right? So if this is in column 0, that's in column 1. When I run this, they're going to be side by side, okay? If I say this one is in column 1, oh, by the way, upper left-hand corner is 0, 0, okay? Oh, if you do Control-C, it eventually kills it, but it takes a little bit of time, okay? Now notice I did 0, 0, I'm up here, 1, 1, I'm down there, okay? So using this, you can sort of lay out stuff and be like, I want this button to be in the middle, I want this one to be over here, and everywhere it needs to be, okay? These numbers, this is another trick, these numbers could be variables, all right? So if I really wanted to have for I in range 10, nope, that's not going to do anything. Ah, damn it. Okay. Now I've got 10 boxes. Okay? Anybody having any programmatic confusions here? There's a very high-level, complicated concept that's actually going on here making this work. How many variables do I actually have in this entire program? I have box and box 2. What's the scope of box? It's in the for loop, right? So when when this loops once around, comes around, okay, there's a different box, okay? Essentially, when I say is equal to label in C++ and Java, that really is like new label, okay, all right? So this for loop is creating 10 labels, okay? And they're each here. But the problem is, after this for loop, I no longer have a variable that allows me access to any of these other ones. Okay? In C and C++, it's sort of like I create an object and I got a pointer back to it, and then I threw that pointer away. Okay? Which for memory purposes in C++ is a disaster because I don't have a memory leak. Okay? Python doesn't have the memory leak problem, right? But I have a new problem in that I don't have access. I can't get access to any of these other things. Okay? Programmatically, all right? Now, if I was to attach a function, okay, that occurred if one of these things was clicked, well, then I would be able to have access to it. Okay? All right? That topic is the most difficult part of this GUI programming is how do I get access to that thing? Okay, all right. So anyway, so we have labels. All right? And let's and that's a button. Let's do column is equal to 1, row is equal to I. Okay? And now let's kill the old one and run a new one. And now that for loop created a bunch of boxes. Okay? I also created a bunch of buttons next to them. The text on the button was the I value. Okay? And then I positioned it at column 1, this column, all right, row I. Okay? So, you know, that's the 5 button, that's the 6 button, that's the 7 button, that's the 8 button, that's the 9 button. Okay? That's sort of cool? All right? Well, let me actually comment this stuff out because that's now messing us up a little bit. Okay, close that window. Let's rerun it. Now I have boxes. Yeah. Nifty? Too complicated yet? Okay. So next thing that I want to do, buttons are cool because you can click on them, but they're even cooler because you can have them do something if you click them. And we do that using the bind function of the object. Okay? Notice, that is a string. Okay? Okay? All right. So the bind function attaches a function to an event. Okay? Now, button is one type of event. There's, I think, about a dozen different events. We have to be a little bit careful, and the reason is because what tkinter really needs to be doing is it is also talking to my operating system, okay, and attaching it to events which the operating system supports. Okay? So Python, cross-platform, okay, command line, everything works exactly the same. Once we start doing different things in Windows, Mac, and Linux, there are slight differences that the graphical user interface, the operating system, gives us, that some of them support some things and other ones don't. Okay? So, actually, Mac supports the fewest amount of features. Okay? So if I do something on my Mac, it really should work in Windows. Okay? Generally, it's the colors are the weird things. Like, okay, on Mac, changing the background color of a window is, I believe, really, really difficult. In Windows, it's a piece of cake. Okay, as in you say the command to change the background of the window in a Mac and it doesn't work. Okay, that's because the operating system doesn't support that action. Okay, so realize there's sort of a layer that we have to go through. This button string is really what the command is in the operating system to let me know whenever this event occurred. Okay. Coolness, a little bit? Okay, do we have a question? Do you have a question? No? All right, now when I run this, I now have Windows, and every single time I click a button, notice what happens. It says clicked. Yay! Okay, so I click a button, all right, it runs this was clicked function, all right, which is actually just printing something to the screen. Okay, and that's how it works. Nifty? Okay. Is everybody clear with this so far? Do you see how this essentially works? Okay. I believe you can bind things to labels too, but the user is not really going to know to click that thing. I'm not sure if that works, but just bind things to buttons and you'll be fine. Okay. All right. One thing to note here, was clicked does not have beginning and closing parentheses on it. Why? You have a function with an open close parentheses, or I'm passing any parameters. What does that do? That says run this function, right? But in this case, I really want to say, don't run the function now. I want you to run this function when this event occurs. Okay? So the cool part about what this is, what I'm really doing is I'm sending it essentially a pointer to a function so that it will run it when something occurs. Okay? Now, you'll also notice I also added another parameter coming in from was clicked. Okay? And the equal none is a trick that I figured out over the years. It's not actually required. So when you click a button, let me just click on, let me just print str_dir of event. Okay, and by the way, does everybody know this trick? Ah, this is beautiful. Okay, all right, what does dir do in Windows world? It's directory, right? If I type dir directory, right? The dir function works exactly like that in Python, except it will tell you all of the internal variables and functions that are in that object. Convenient, okay? So the event actually got specified. So if event was not passed, the default would be none, and then it would just print out none. Okay? But an event was passed, and you can see all the different functions that are associated with this event object that got passed. Okay? Now, in Python, notice you get underscore, 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 all right? In Python, there are objects, but there's no such thing as a private and public variables or functions. Everything is public by default. Okay? The way that you tell the programmer you probably shouldn't play with this, okay, is we have underscores around that variable name. Okay? So we could actually see what each of these different functions or variables actually are, but essentially think of this being a private, and there's really no reason I should be dealing with those. Okay? All right? All these other ones, like car, delta, height, key code, key symbol, key sum num, send event, serial, state, time, all that other things we could actually query. Okay? Because they are part of that object. Okay? Okay. I want to show you something that's really quite convenient. Another feature of Python okay. I believe this works. Okay. I believe this works. All right. So what I did right here, let's just see if this works. It did work. Okay. All right. What I just did right here does not exist in C++ with objects, and it doesn't also exist in Java. This is a really cool feature of Python where their object-orientedness is pretty loose. What I'm doing right here is the button object, okay, has certain functions and variables inside of it, okay? Because Python is dynamically typed, you can actually add variables to an object that you don't even own. Okay? So I created an object here called button. It has certain functions associated with it. All right? And as long as I don't step on the toes of that existing object, I can add parameters to that object. Okay? All right? So therefore, this button, I'm putting extra information into that object that I might find useful later. Okay? Now, if you notice what I did was an event.widget. This actually gives you the object that got clicked. Okay? The event has like the time it got clicked, the location it got clicked, right? And inside of widget is the actual thing that got clicked, which stores the information which I stored earlier. See how this is useful? Right? So now, if you notice up here, I just did a dir of the button object, and oh my gosh, there's lots of stuff you can do with buttons. Okay? All right? But my number is inside now that button object. So what I can do let me just comment that out for the second here. Isn't that nifty? Okay? Because if you look at this, all I'm really doing is I'm just creating a button and the text says that number. But really in the future, that might be useful to actually know what number they actually clicked on, what button they actually clicked on, all right? So let's just store an integer inside that button, and later I can query that to figure out what number that was actually associated with that button. Okay? This is going to take you some time to sort of simmer this idea, but this is a really powerful trick that you can do this in Python. You can manipulate any object you want at any time, add features that you might want to later use. Okay? So 8, 9, 5, 4. Isn't that cool? Yes. Okay. You want to keep on going with cool stuff? Keep on going with cool stuff. Okay. So, again, this is like Python and UI is not professional, but allows you to do some really cool things. I'm going to do another bad programming trick, and I'm going to have a global variable called st. I don't know what to call it. Computation is equal to nothing. Okay? All right. Now, what I'm going to do is inside of here, I'm going to say computation plus equals str of this thing. Okay? See what I'm doing? I'm going to make a calculator. All right? So here is the box going from 0 to 9. All right? Let's add some more boxes. Not more text here. Let's have a plus box. Let's see, this one goes from 0 through 9. So this one will be column 0, row 10. Okay, and we'll do button dot. Nope, that's it. Oh, dot my number. Okay, bad variable names now. All right, let me just run this to show you what's going on. Are we sort of following along what I'm doing? Okay. So now computation was referenced before assignment. Did I misspell something? Oh, okay. All right, so let's talk about global variables. All right, in Python, by default, you don't have access to those global variables. Okay, that's why I got that error message not being defined. If I say global computation, now it's the same as this global variable. Okay. All right. By the way, this is the bad, lazy way to do things with global variables. Preferably, we're doing things with objects and state, and yeah, we should do that. But global variables are nice in this situation. In this course, this is not GUI. This is getting things done in networking, so I'm okay with global variables. Okay. So you can see as I have a global variable called computation, that string is going to get added every single time I click a button, including the plus. Why does the plus not? Oh, because I don't have the bind. But why is how did the plus get in there? Hold on a second. What the? Oh my gosh, this is complicated. All right, I made a big mistake. Notice this is box 2 button.myNumber. No, that's the last button. So this needs to say box 2. And then we also need the bind. And why did I call it a label? It's not a label. It needs to be a button. All right. And then we'll do the exact same thing for the plus button. Let's just call this plus. Okay, building up a string. Okay, all right, ready for the next cool part? Okay, we're going to make a new button called equals. All right. Let's just save this to make sure we didn't do anything wrong so far. 3 plus 8 equals. So the equal sign went in there as the string. What do you think we should do if we press on equals? We should give the answer, right? Okay, so how do I do that? What has to change for me to do that? What's that? No. I could. That would be the smart way to do it.
Oh, sorry.
You can check and let's click.
All right, sorry. I was thinking of doing it the lazy way, but let's do it the better way, okay? Let's make a function called, like, do computation. Okay, and then when we, rather than calling the was click button when equal, we're going to do computation. All right, and we'll just say print. Actually, we don't have to have anything here. This is another Python trick. Eval. What do you think that thing does? Oh, thank you. Ooh. What? It gave me 10. How did that happen? How did that happen? All right, keep thinking. How did that happen? Huh? Eval. What do you think eval does?
Wait, what's it
What's the type of what? I mean, we're not specifying types in Python, but what is the type of inside the computation variable? A string. So you're given a string to the eval function, and it evaluates the string. Holy shit, that's awesome. Wait, what? It evaluates the string as Python code while Python is running at the exact same time. What? How do you do that in C++? Can you do that in C?
There's a type of thing we used to have it in order close to order.
Yeah.
We could,
You have to parse it. Yeah.
We had a thing.
You had a thing for it. Yes. We don't have to do any of that. We just be like, hey, consider that Python and please execute that, please. Yeah. Interpreted languages has that awesome feature, right? If this was C, C++, Java, right, what would I have to do to get that to work? Well, convert that to a string, save it as a file, call GCC. On that file name, I get an executable to a system call to call that executable, reroute the pipe so that I can get the output, and there it is. Right? But because Python's interpreted, I can just be like, well, you're running an interpreter. You're running strings anyway. Do that one. And it's a variable. Isn't that nifty? Okay. Be really careful with this, because if I just said 8 plus plus, it now says unexpected end of file while parsing. Right? Because 8 plus plus is not a valid Python code. Right? It has no idea how to parse that. Okay, all right? So while it is sort of awesome, it works, it's also extremely brittle, and you would never actually use this in a real calculator. Okay? What this also allows you to do, this is really running Python, so if I want to do a print statement, any Python code, you could just put it as a string and execute that. Okay? Including, what? sys.cmd rm-rf/. Right? That's not good. No. That is saying, open up a system prompt and delete my hard drive. Yeah. Okay?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's kind of like a SQL injection.
Yes, yeah. Okay? All right? So this is why in Python there's a lot of cool features. They're really dangerous, but for our purposes, this is pretty cool because I just made a calculator in like 10 minutes. Okay? What do I have to do to include multiplication, subtraction, and division? I just keep adding buttons. Right? What about the order of operations? Could I do parentheses too? Yep. Okay? All right? Okay, now, another thing. So you also know about the try except block, right? Could I include that here to actually help the user? Yeah, I actually could put a try what do I call it? Try except? Yeah, try except around the eval statement to catch any exceptions on the string I'm executing, pop up something to the user, that was an invalid string, resetting that for you, and continue on our merry way. Okay? We could do that for a little bit of defense, right? It still wouldn't prevent our rm-rf issue, but at least we will be able to catch some of those errors. Okay? So that's pretty cool? Yes. Okay? All right, questions on this? I've thrown a lot of cool features at you really, really quickly, so I think all of you should rewatch this video. Play with this, figure out how it works. I am doing, everything I've done here so far is what you need for your assignment. Okay? I didn't show you how to do boxes yet, or how to do boxes you can type in. Do I have an example for that? Crap. No. Google that. Tuesday, I will do an example of that. Okay? Oh, there's an example. Okay, hold on a second. I just found it.
Yeah, I checked the Sudo app. Get it solved, but I'll give it
All right, let's see what that does. Cool. Stop that. Okay, so that's a box. All right, it's called an entry window. All right, it allows the user to type stuff in. I don't have the code for this. I don't remember how this works. There are properties of the entry window to do multi-lines. All right. Also, I'm hitting enter right now, and nothing is happening. Okay. You have to bind. Actually, let me just try it. Let's just try it. I think it's the return. I think it's that.
Are there different binds? Like, is that a defined bind?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Do a Google search for TK bind options, and you'll get a list of it. Some of them are operating system specific. I warn you.
like the was click.
Was click. There's mouse over. There's on entry, on exit.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I did QT5 at my internship, so there was a long list of
Yeah.
a lot.
Okay. All right. So if I believe it's return. If I hit return, it should do the computation. Oop, that's not what I want. Oh, it's not running at the moment. Okay. So let me just do 7 plus 9. Click in there. Hit enter. There you go. Okay. All right. So that is the bind for detecting the return character was hit inside that box window. Sorry, I should say within that entry window. Okay. So the question, how do you fill in your own stuff here? I've got a feeling. Let me just make a new function. Box stuff event is equal to none. I'm pretty sure. Let me just do a print of a dir of event.widget. And let's do box stuff down here. I believe the text gets stored in the widget. And then you can, in the event, pull what that text was out. what's it called? Content? Uh-oh. I'm not seeing anything that pops out at me that would be what the text is. I'm looking for like a content or a text. Maybe .get? I think that's a function. Yes. All right. The get function gets whatever inside the box. If you notice, I also used an insert down here. That's how you can insert something into the box if you really wanted to. And by the way, this is all like live. Okay. So get gets the content. Let's just do an event.widget .insert, and then let's insert. And I know the insert function's funny. The first character is the location inside the box that you want to start writing. Let's just start at character 0. You typed enter. Okay. And now let's close that. Run it again. Let's see if this works. Yep. All right. I hit enter. It called that function. It printed out what was inside the box, and then I changed the contents of the box. All right. If you notice what happened, I said you typed enter, and it put that at the very beginning of the box. Okay. I think there's actually an erase function. You can erase everything that's in there and then insert something. So if I keep hinting enter in here, it just keeps adding you typed enter to the very beginning of that text box. Okay. Is that sort of cool? All right. So far I showed you how to make a box. I didn't show you how to make it multiple rows. You'll have to Google that. Showing you how to get the content out of the box, how you can change the box. Another thing that's going on here that you probably didn't realize is the event.widget is the actual object that this thing is. Okay? You know in C, C++, we always like, when you're passing variables, it's passed by value. Passed by value is actually making duplicates of things. Okay? Not in this world. Okay, in Python, it's actually like passing references to stuff. Okay, there's only one entry object. Okay, and I am directly operating on that object. Okay, sometime later, when there's more time, ask me about parameter passing in Python because it's not exactly as simple as that. Okay. Essentially, what happens is it's passed by value when you expect it to be passed by value. It does. Sorry, it's passed by reference. It does pass by reference. When it makes sense for that to be passed by reference. Okay? Okay. Lists are passed by reference. Objects are passed by reference. Numbers are not. Strings are not. Okay? I'm not sure about that. Strings might be, because it's a list. All right. Cool? All right, so it's 10:27. You want to keep on talking for a little bit more? The last two problems on there had to do with timing. I'm going to show you timing tricks.
Pretty cool.
That would be cool. Okay. Hold on. Let me check my notes. How do you do that? Okay. All right. Box stuff. Def. All right. Let's see what that does. Okay. Oh, oops. Ah, from radom. There we go. Bam, 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 bam. Is that cool? All right, so what I did was I created a function called change color. Master, remember master was this guy up here, which is like the master window. Dot configure, you can change the background color. Okay, so what I'm doing is I have an array of string colors, right? And I'm choosing a random one. All right, so every single time, at this case, I just cooked it up to my equals button. Okay, every single time I press the equals button, it is going to run the change color function, which changes the color of the background. There we go. Cool? Okay. All right. Now, we're going to add another. What's that?
No, that's why it sounded like
Well, but it repeats. It could repeat the existing one. Okay. All right. All objects also have an after function. Okay. I need to be smart about this so nobody has a seizure. Okay. Master.after 1000 change color. So you know how like this entire system is event based? Okay. The after function says run this function after this many milliseconds. Okay? So let's run this. I didn't touch anything on the keyboard. Okay? After 1 second after the program was executed, okay, it ran the change color function. Okay? And why isn't it changing now?
Because it only runs once.
Because it only ran once. Okay? How could I get it to continue going? No, can't do a for loop. Let's back up a second. I want to talk about the for loop. If I put the for loop down here and I said like for I is in range 0 to 100, master.after 100, what would occur? It would run all of that practically instantaneously, okay? And there would be essentially 1,000 requests for the change color function after 1 second, right? And after 1 second, it would call the change color function really, really, really quickly. Okay, you should have to think about timelines here, okay? So another thing I could do is I could say master.after 2000, right? So what I'm really saying is schedule this function to be called after 1,000 milliseconds and schedule another call to the same function after 2,000 milliseconds. Yeah, let me just do that again. Oh, damn it. Damn it. Damn random. There you go. All right, there it did it. Okay? All right? It chose the same color twice, which is the problem. But you saw it change to the first color. What was that? Green. Okay? And then 1 second later, it changed to red. Okay? What happened? How could I get this to go infinitely long? No, not a while loop. Because if I put a while loop down here, then I have to essentially schedule an infinite number of future events to get triggered.
Could you put it in the function?
Could I put it in the function? Yeah, let's put it in the function. Okay? All right, everybody hold on to your seats. Last year, somebody almost got... This is dangerous. So we already have master as the global variable, right? So I can really just do this exact same thing up there, right? Okay, master.after 1000, call change color. And let me just disable this one. Okay, and now let's run that. After 1 second, turns to red. Yeah. Isn't that nifty? Okay. You want seizures? Or we have a rave? Let's do it fast. Let's do it fast. 100 milliseconds. Take a second for the first one. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Faster? I brought you coffee this morning and
Oh gosh.
yeah. See, here we go. Isn't this cool? All right. What's that? Oh, it depends what the refresh rate is.
Does this refresh like this? Does it?
Top to bottom-ish. Yeah. All right. So that is how you can schedule things in the future. Oh, there was another. I'm not sure you noticed this. Part of the event was the time that that event was actually triggered at. Okay. So that could be useful. Okay. I think that comes in across in milliseconds. Okay. All right. Was this way too much GUI stuff in Python? This is essentially all you need to know for all the GUI projects this semester. How to create boxes, how to create buttons, how to create text boxes, how to do callbacks, how to schedule things in the future, to the fact that you can modify the objects and then query them later for the information that you stored. That's super useful. Yeah. Another thing to remember is this is event-based programming. So really main loop needs to be at the very bottom, and TK is actually creating multiple threads of execution to have all of this happen at the exact same time, and we don't have to worry about any thread locks or any contention like that. Because Python, that's a different discussion, handles that by itself. Okay? All right, questions about this? Do all of you see a path forward for the first project due next week? Okay. Okay. All right, please start working at that. Come see me with at office hours with questions on how to get this done. Also, please work on this before Tuesday so that you can ask, like, I'm having a problem with a function that does this. If that seems like a problem that a lot of people are having, I'll do more TK examples.
We're all doing just one, right?
Yeah, each person is doing one. Each team really is doing two, right? And they should be different. Okay? All right? I mean, I certainly encourage you to help each other with these functions. Okay? Because part of your grade is based on your partner. Okay? Or partners. Okay?
I don't
Where does
know.
a
I don't
test
know.
like that?
I think it's Wednesday night. Yeah, so we have one more class before this is due.
We're gonna work on that in class.
Are we going to work on it in class?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'll do more examples.
Okay.
We didn't do any slides today, so we had to start talking about the application layer on Tuesday. But I'll answer questions about Python TK.
Oh, you have to uninstall it.